What makes a great character? This is a very open-ended question for which there is no one answer. When I was a kid, I asked my English teacher this very question, and she replied that they have to be likeable. As I've written more and more, it has only become increasingly obvious to me that this is not the case. At least not entirely. Bilbo Baggins is a very likeable character, and that is a big part of what makes him an interesting one, but a character like Darth Vader is an iconic one. However, there is very little about him that is likeable. If you ask me, the trait that every good character shares is that they engage the audience in the story that's being told, and by extension of that, that they are interesting. Now this is what it comes down to. The question you should be asking is not how to create a good character, it should be, how can I make this character interesting? In this video, I want to teach you a method I use to create interesting characters that I believe you might find some use in. For me, when it comes to creating a strong character, there are three qualities that must be addressed: likability, competency, and activity. So, likability. How much will the audience like this character? Competency. How good are they at what they do? And finally, activity. How much do they persevere? Do they affect the plot, or does the plot affect them? Now, if you were to pluck any character from fiction and analyse these three factors, you should find they line up somewhere on this graph. Bilbo Baggins, he is not particularly competent, he is not hugely active, but he is very likeable. Batman, he is very competent, he is very active, but not a particularly likeable character. Something I found is that Sherlock Holmes and Batman are actually very similar characters in this respect. They are both not particularly likeable, but they are both so brilliant at what they do and they persevere so much, we can't help but be engaged by their stories. Now, what happens if we fill up all of these factors, create someone who is extremely likeable, very competent, and perseveres? What do we get? Well, we get a Superman. Bear in mind this is based on my own interpretation of what likability means. I know this may sound a bit silly, but for me, I gauge likability on whether or not I think I would enjoy having a conversation with that character in real life. I could imagine me and Superman having a nice, pleasant conversation. If I met Bilbo Baggins at the pub, we'd have a nice conversation about the different kinds of cheese. But if I met Batman, I just couldn't imagine having a pleasant conversation with the guy, or Darth Vader for that matter. So, if you want to use this technique for creating characters, there are two rules you need to understand. The first rule, your character must be good in at least one of these fields. And number two, they cannot be good at all three. The reason why is when you do that, you create a flawless Superman-esque character where they have no fundamental character flaws. Simply, the worse they rank in these factors, the more numerous and fundamental their flaws. But if you have too many flaws, they may cease to be an interesting character. Sorry for the shortness of this video, but when it comes to these video essays, I don't like to make them any longer than they need to be. I wanted to get this video out of the way before I moved on to my next video essay on how to create a strong female character, because I feel the two are very closely related. Even though that video essay will come out in 1 week's time, you can watch it right now if you go to my Patreon and donate $5 or more. I upload every video a week early to my Patreons, so if you want to support me in creating this content, there will be a link in the description down below. Anyway, thanks for watching, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time on The Closer Look.